They nicked our idea.
No way.
Yes, they blooming did, Steve. And they did apologise to us later. Sorry,
so you did it. They nicked it, and they had that huge hit, didn't they?
A whopper.
Genuinely, I think this is one of the best pop songs I've ever heard.
Virgin Radio 80s Plus.
Welcome to my 80s playlist. It's Vix with a double X. How are you from Fuzzbox?
I've got an extra X. Maybe that's for a kiss.
How's it going?
It's great, thank you. How about yourself?
So I'm really good. We met each other in Birmingham about 14 years ago in my old life in Brum, and you were there in the Male Maze. And I remember thinking to myself after meeting you, it'd be great to interview. It's taken so long.
Well, blooming heck, 14 years.
So it takes 14 years, and then we see each other again, and she punches me in the face.
I did.
Unbelievable. So I don't know what you were doing, but I got a right kind of...
You got a right hook.
A right hook.
Well, we were both going in for a hug at the wrong angle, I think. Sorry about that. That was not a very good start. Now you know why you didn't ask me sooner.
Now, so some great tunes you've asked for this week, of course, one of which is your own. We'll get on to Pink Sunshine. First of all, though, let's talk about the specials, and this has got to be a tribute to a certain special man, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we lost... Terry Hall recently. Horace Panter and I sort of keep in touch, and we've done a few projects for Birmingham, I suppose, raising the profile together. And the last time I saw them perform, the specials, was with my sister. She'd come over from abroad. It was a really special event because we don't get a lot of time together. And lovely Horace got us VIP tickets to Splendour Festival. Oh God, it was just so good to see them. They were easily the best act there. You had some massive acts there. There was Rag and Bone Man and all sorts, but they were the best because they just got the whole crowd going. We were skanking like crazy, and so what a loss. He was a fantastic
Did you know him? I hear he was such a wonderful person as well as a great musician.
Didn't know him. I did meet him at the Jazz Cafe. It's actually when there was a Deborah Harry, as she liked to be known then, a jazz gig that she was doing, and he was there. So we said hello. He was very sort of cool. He wasn't jumping about for joy and swinging me round. But no, he came across as a nice, cool, calm guy,
Introduce this song and tell me why you want this one.
I chose Enjoy Yourself because I just think it's, it's a bit of my theme for life. I like to enjoy myself. And yeah, it's a good one for skanking. So let's go.
Right, Vix, I must say the Slits remind me of what would have happened had Fuzzbox been around a decade earlier. I think they sound a bit like you guys, how you guys sounded, potentially. Or am I wrong? No,
we were into the Slits,
yeah?
Definitely. Of course, back in the days of partying in Brum, clubbing, you may remember things like the Powerhouse and Zigzags. It was a fantastic alternative scene. Everyone mixed. It was just, I don't know if there's ever been anywhere like it before, but you'd have goths and punks and hippies and emo, I don't know, just everything you could think, rockabillys, we'd all hang out together. There was never any trouble. And they used to play the Slits, heard it through the grapevine, and I just thought, if you're ever going to do a cover, it's bonkers.
Just
it's
make
all
it
like,
your own.
I heard it. It's just really silly and crazy. We loved it. Yeah, Fuzzbox loved it. So
you mentioned the early days of Birmingham. So am I right in thinking you girls were a mixture of Moseley, Sheldon, Acox Green?
Yeah, I'm the Moseleyite.
I love it. Well, listen, just in case you haven't been to West Midlands, it's a wonderful place. I mean, I called it my home for 14 years, but it's right what you say. It's a real kind of hot pot of diversity, of acceptance, different people in quite a little area, really, in the city centre, mixing together. Yeah,
that's what I'm so proud to have come from Brum. It's just what an education. Just not just tolerance and acceptance, but like embracing other people's cultures. It was a great place to grow up, and I think it helps people to be far more open-minded and creative. That's why such great music comes from the city.
Brilliant. Next song is by Blondie. Tell me everything. Why have you picked this? Call me.
Oh, Blondie was one of my faves growing up. I used to lie on, on my bed, the typical sort of lie on your tummy with your feet up in the air, reading through parallel lines, and all the lyrics. Those are the days, with a bit of vinyl. And I love Debbie Harry. I think she's what an icon. Every song they've done is pretty good in my opinion. So I thought I'd go for Call Me, which is quite an interesting story behind it actually, because it's written for American Gigolo.
Yeah.
And it was meant to be for Stevie Nicks to sing.
Oh.
Yeah. What do you think? That's an unusual one.
Did I read that Giorgio Moroder helped write it?
Yeah.
That's true, isn't
Yes.
it? And that's so weird. So it became Blondie's biggest song.
How
It's their biggest UK song.
Yeah,
so
but how would it have sounded if Stevie Nicks had done it? Just seems strange, but I just thought that was quite a nice little anecdote. So,
and did Deborah Harry speak to you as a young girl in the West Midlands? Did you always have that kind of music dream going on in the early part of the 80s?
Yeah, I think that I always wanted to be in, entertainment, in music. It was, our family loved our sing-alongs at Christmas, and we were quite a musical family, yeah.
So you had it in your bones?
Yes,
you kind of hoped that it would happen?
Yes. Yeah, but of course, I don't know if you want to go over the story of how it did. That wasn't on purpose. That was by mistake.
We're getting to that in a step.
Yeah, that was by mistake. But yes, I always hoped to, sing, act, entertain, yeah.
Okay. Now, next track is B-52s. Your next track is B-52s. You touched on this a moment ago. How did Fuzzbox get back together? How did Fuzzbox form?
In the early days,
place.
Right? Well, we've just four mates all out clubbing at the Powerhouse in Birmingham, and we were always going out supporting local bands. Well, we'd always go and see any bands, and it was a great scene then. But a friend of ours in the Bang Sisters said that they were doing a gig, and he said, "Yeah, we'll come and see you. Who's your support band?" And he said he hadn't got one, and so we said, "Well, we'll do it then." We just volunteered ourselves. I believe Maggie was the one who volunteered us there, and excuse me, I was always game for that sort of thing, so I was like, yeah, we'll do it. So obviously we hadn't actually got a band. That was a big fat porky pie, but that wasn't going to stop us.
You just thought we'd give it a go.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. I mean, they knew that, I was always doing choirs and in the singing, singing groups and things like that. And so we got together on the Sunday before the gig.
And what year was this?
85.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, how nonchalant can you be? Putting virtually no effort in. We just got together for a couple of hours before the gig. Well, let's put a band together then. Jo could string together a few chords on the guitar. She later became a cracking guitarist. I did most of the singing, but Maggie did some as well. We all took turns. It's like, well, hold on, I haven't had to go on drums yet. It was just play. It was
very
fun.
Cool.
Yeah, and I'd written some really weird song. It was actually a poem, and we made that into a song. Then we did a cover of Fever. But it was more sort of woo woo, lots of whoops in it, and Spirit in the Sky did of course flip it. No, it wasn't. They nicked our idea.
No way.
Yes, they blooming did, Steve, and they did apologise to us later. Sorry,
so you did it. They nicked it, and they had that huge hit, didn't they?
A whopper. Yeah,
wow, number one hit.
So they'd see. All right.
Sorry,
I'm off.
Rob sorting the wounds.
Yeah, they'd seen us perform it, thought it was really unusual. I was there playing weird sort of violin through effects pedals, and they thought it was a great idea. They did it, and they had the hits.
Wow. But on the plus side, I read that you had your first hit was in, I think, 86, and it's stuck in the charts for 25 weeks.
Yeah, it's something like that.
People don't know that about Fuzzbox, the fact that you were releasing stuff in 1986. So that's really impressive.
Yeah, I think in those days as well, good old days, the indie chart really meant something as well. So yeah, it hung around for a long time, and of course we had people like John Peel and Janice Long really championing, liking us, so that, they certainly helped push things forward for us massively.
And B-52s, just introduce this song you want.
Well, we used to, again, like Rock Lobster was a real favourite because it's so crazy with all its funny little sounds and everything else in it. But I'm going to go with Love Shack because I just love dancing to this song.
Yeah.
The voices are great, and I think that Fuzzbox had that element, especially when Maggie and I sang together, the sort of the two voices together, that were quite different but sounded really good in unison. So this is a great song to do all the sort of the 60s.
Yeah. I must say, I was lucky enough to go to so many gigs when I was in Birmingham. Best one I ever went to was B-52s at the O2 Academy, which was, it's like 500 people in there. And from the moment they came on, it was insane. There was beer flying everywhere. They were just brilliant and bonkers. Just everything you would expect. And this is like years after Love Shack. So truly amazing.
Oh, I wish I'd have seen that. That's not good.
Okay, so next thing we're picking, this is quite a common song actually. Lots of people like this, go for this. It's because it's so important and pivotal to music in the 80s. Run DMC and Aerosmith.
Yeah, I think this song is absolutely phenomenal, and I loved the way that it was crossing over. I mean, as time went on, one of our problems with sort of our kind of longevity, I suppose, was that people said you couldn't mix styles. So I'd be saying, well, when we'd sort of had the success with the first two albums and we were looking at the third one further on, you would say, well, we want quite soft vocals and harmonies, but we want like crunchy guitars and maybe like, a bit harder dance beats or, rock, this, and no, can't do it.
Why?
No, can't do it. Honestly, when I look back, I just wish somehow we'd have gone, well, we're going to anyway.
Yeah.
But nobody seemed to know how.
So what were they saying? Stay in your lane. You are this, be this.
That plus you can't mix styles. You can't. Then people don't. You have to be in a box. Which box do you want to be in?
Yeah.
So it was just, really bonkers. And so I know this was quite extreme because you've got the rap and the rock, but I loved it for that reason. It opened a lot of people's eyes, like rappers to rock and rock to rap. Plus Aerosmith, we met in America. I think we were on the Late Show, and we had quite a lot of makeup, and instead of like nice little handbag sort of full makeup bag, we had these toolboxes from Halfords. They were massive things. They were great.
The ones that extend and open up. Yeah.
Yes, they do. They go three layers.
Yeah. For makeup.
Well, you didn't. Now you can get all these lovely boxes that do that, but I'm sure then you couldn't. Not if you weren't a professional makeup artist.
That's
anyway,
brilliant.
So we had these, and then I'm blinking at Steven Tyler, that's his name, came over, and he was fascinated by them. He was really loved them. He was like, hey, what you got in there, girls? And he was like, I want one of these. He thought it was a fantastic invention. We got them from Halfords. They're just horrible things, but so he was cool.
That's brilliant. Were you big in the States, by the way?
Yeah, we toured the States.
Yeah?
Yeah, East and West and Canada, and yeah.
Were you warming up for people or your own shows? Or?
No, we were actually headlining, believe it or not. But they were really, I mean, the audience is very varied there. Mainly they're quite crazy and go for it, which is fantastic. But I remember us going on stage and people screaming. We'd be looking around, going, looking behind us. Is Paul McCartney here or something? Is there a really good band here, a famous person? And oh God, it's us, But then you'd do some gigs in really cool places like Philadelphia, and they'd sit cross-legged on the floor the whole gig. But then, and you think, God, they hated us. We were terrible.
Oh, that's weird.
We didn't get them up dancing. This is awful. But then afterwards, they'd all be going crazy, like, that's the best show ever. Oh,
state
okay.
to state. That's so strange. Maybe they've got different laws in different states.
They're just really cool. Yeah. Too cool.
Now, I don't know this track that well, so please tell me everything.
Elvis Costello is fantastic. I actually reviewed him for a Birmingham publication once. Symphony Hall it will have been. I think Elvis Costello is one of the best songwriters ever.
He's a treasure, isn't he?
Completely, and his voice is so unusual, and I think that's rare to find. Somebody who's got a really, really, unusual voice. Might not be the best voice in the world, sort of technically, but oh gosh, it's got all the emotion. And I love all of his. Sleep of the Just was one of the others I nearly went with, but I thought I'd go for something more lively, because this song I've chosen. It may or may not have heard of Ginger and the Wild Hearts, and Ginger created this super group with lots of people from lots of bands, and we did a cover of Pump It Up, and it was about twice as fast as this,
right?
And it was just really,
I give that a listen.
It's really really fun.
It's like on steroids.
Yeah, that was Ginger and the Sonic Circus. That was.
I'll give that a listen. Is it available? Is it like on YouTube and stuff?
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Amazing. Very soon we must get onto. I must talk to you about all those appearances on Top of the Pops. Found something interesting about a front cover of yours on Smash Hits magazine. So we discuss this in a bit.
Okay.
That's great. Next song. Let's talk about Kate Bush.
Oh.
What did she mean to you?
Oh, my heart goes like all warm and fuzzy when I think about Kate Bush. I think she was probably my first love. Also similarly to sort of to Blondie, that was one of the albums, like The Kick Inside was one of those albums that I just used to lie on my bed and play over and over and over and read all the lyrics, and I know the whole album off by heart, you know, and I'd be singing all those high notes. That's why I ended up being able to sing so high. I'm sure it's down to singing along with her, so which sometimes was a bit much in the car, and my parents would be like, all right, love, just back off a little bit. Really, really creative, wonderful woman, you know, really inspirational, and it's I mean, you may or may not be able to hear it in some of the Fuzzbox tracks. There's definitely some influence in there that I can hear, particularly perhaps on albums. But like music I'm doing now would absolutely have echoes of her. Some of my new music, yeah, she's just so wonderful.
Well, have you got a favourite Kate Bush song of all time? It's really hard, isn't it? Because there are so many different moments and songs that kind of bring you memories and what have you. It's hard to pinpoint one, isn't it? But it can be anything. But I just wondered if you got a favourite one.
I mean, it's not one that I've chosen for this, but it probably was another era, Man with a Child in His Eyes.
Oh,
but yeah. Cloud Busting Hounds of Love or Sat in Your Lap, they're all...
So we can play
amazing.
One. I feel like we should have a drum roll.
Oh. Actually, if we're going to go for a drum roll, let's go for Sat in Your Lap, because the drums on it are just out of this world, and all the, you know, how she uses all those different vocal sounds. We actually used the same vocal effects as well when we did Big Bang, the second album. We used the same or Fairlight, and you know, a lot of the same sounds that she used. Yeah. With the vocals and the keyboard, so yeah, that was my little homage.
And what do you think about the resurgence and the fact that she got to number one last year? And there are so many people, like my niece who's 14 has gone back and checked out her back catalogue and is coming out with songs like this that she loves all on her own.
Absolutely. I mean, my daughter's got a 19-year-old. She's really into Kate Bush, and my 12-year-old is from watching Stranger Things.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm really pleased for her, because I know she's not a very public person. She doesn't really want to be going out there, does she?
No.
You know, what much as we might want her to, it's her life and it's her choice, isn't it? So I think that's fantastic that lots more people are now going to get to hear her fantastic music.
And has Fuzzbox ever been picked up by a TV show or a movie? Have you ever heard that Pink Sunshine's in a film or Netflix?
It's in a few, isn't it? It's in...
I'm sure it is.
Got rules and regulations in... Is it something like... Gosh... Some... Bob, Sue and Rita too. I think it should be in more.
I think it should be, definitely. I'm sure it has been. I'm sure it's come up.
I think it'd be
on the
very
radio
good
and TV.
For a TV ad. Pink Sunshine would be a lovely
has it ever been
one.
a TV
or
ad?
International Rescue. Do you know, Steve, they didn't even bother putting International Rescue in the new blooming Thunderbirds film, did they?
Oh, gosh.
They missed a trick there.
That is a missed trick.
Thank you, shaking heads.
We're going to go for Creep next by Radiohead, because it's from 1992 and we feel that's the most relevant one for Virgin Radio 80s Plus. Tell me about Radiohead and why you want this.
Oh, I love Radiohead. His voice is exceptional. Obviously, he's quite an unusual looking person as well.
This is Tom, yeah?
Tom, yeah. Tom
York.
Bashing Tom York from Radiohead. And I like the fact that, like, not everybody has to look all pristine and perfect and glammed up. You know, he rose above that with his wonderful songwriting and his voice. I really love fake plastic trees.
Yes,
the one about the watering cans, which is really great. Like, his melodies, where do they come from? Just, you know, they really make you
mini works of art, aren't they?
They really are, you know, just move you emotionally. But I think Creep is ace, because it's obviously, I guess it's their most commercial song.
Yeah.
And again, everyone knows it, don't they?
Yeah.
Even like the young generation.
Apparently they hate it, though.
I'm sure they
because
do.
of that. And they've been known to not do it. A, not do it, or B, just do it right at the beginning of the sets. It's out the way.
Why didn't they do like a really weird version of it or something instead?
Yeah.
I mean... obviously I get that, you know, you play songs thousands of times and you don't see yourself as the band that is famous for your most sort of commercial hit. Do you remember David Bowie? He did a tour many years ago, and he hated Laughing Gnome, and he hadn't played it for years. But he did it was on radio and everything. He did a voting system where if enough people asked for it, he would do it, and of course they did.
Oh, really?
So he had to do it at the next tour.
Don't ask the fans.
Oh, I know. I think you've just got to find something that you love about, or if not, you just do it. You just do it for the fans, don't you?
Let's talk about David Bowie, because David Bowie's your next track. Let's Dance. When Pete Waterman was sat in your chair a few weeks ago, he said that Let's Dance was one of the most important pop songs because he'd heard nothing like it before it came out, and he said it's one of the first examples of real instruments and computerized music coming together, and he said he will always remember that first play. Why have you picked this? I
actually agree with that. I think you've got that sort of it had a fantastic dance groove, obviously Let's Dance, but it had rock elements and new wave and pop, and I'm sure we could talk forever about what a wonderful songwriter he was, but just again the artistry behind it all, and knowing that he was always really true to himself, and that changed many, many times. Just the title itself, Let's Dance, it's so easy and obvious, isn't it, and catchy.
Yeah.
And we all used to go out dancing to that track.
Yeah.
There's that great line in it. I'm thinking the right one, aren't I? If you should fall into my arms and tremble like a flower, and he sings it like an opera singer.
Yeah.
I have seen him live, actually. I saw him live, how many years ago? He wasn't in any crazy get-up, he was just in suit, but his stage presence really taught me something. That he could just stand there and just look. He just owned the stage. He didn't need to do a great deal. He just looked phenomenal, he just had it all. And he wasn't arrogant, he was quite laid back, and he was humble, and somebody handed him a note and he read it out, and he was really
amazing.
Wonderful. Yeah,
we must talk
him.
about very quickly the West Midlands, because I'm such a fan of Brum and the surrounding regions, and I must say after being so many gigs in the West Midlands, usually as it was called the NEC and the NIA and the Symphony Hall, they're brilliant audiences. And West Midlands, if you ever see Duran Duran in the West Midlands, for example, it's the best night of your life. Who have you seen? Who's kind of rocked your world when you've been to see them?
In Birmingham?
Yeah.
It was great. Well, actually, I went to see Billie Eilish recently.
Did you?
Yeah, my daughter's really into.
What was she like?
She was great, absolutely fab. Yeah, she really, really was. And I think she's really, unusual and unique. And she's very vocal about all her ups and downs of her life. And I think people really appreciate that she talks about it. And but she's pretty positive. I know a lot of people think that she's really moody and dour, but I think if you look beneath the surface, there's a lot more to her than that. And I like the fact that she's not sort of singing like, I suppose a lot of people are singing like her now, and I'm sure she wasn't necessarily the first, but she's not always sort of belting out, doing lots of vocal acrobatics as loud and as full on as possible. She uses all of those lovely sort of gentle tones and, her sort of speaking voice in it. I think she's really cool.
Did you ever go to the Rum Runner back in the day? I've got to ask you.
I was actually a bit young.
I'm sorry, that went down. How to offend your guest.
No, you have to try a lot harder to offend me. But both my sisters used to go, so they used to hang out with Duran Duran and all of that.
Because now it's just got a blue plaque, hasn't it, outside apparently, with a nice little note saying Duran Duran formed here, they rehearsed here, they played here. It's quite a big moment for Birmingham, isn't it?
Absolutely. I used to see my sisters, because they're nearer in age, getting dressed. Oh, they used to just look beautiful. They're really dressed to the nines, and their boyfriends also look, were all in very similar clothes and makeup and hair and so on. But I actually inherited a lot of those clothes, which I wore for Fuzzbox as well, so that was nice.
I was going to ask you about, we will get to all the stuff now. We're doing a double play today, because you couldn't make up your mind whether you wanted Bowie and Prince, and we said, look, have both. So why Prince? Why Alphabet Street? Because this is fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, I love the groove. Again, I've enjoyed lots of club nights going out dancing to this. But I haven't met Prince. I have seen him. We were actually... I was with some friends. We went out to Brown's when I was living in London for a while. Yeah. And he came in with minders. It was really strange. Everyone just sort of cleared the floor. It went silent. Then suddenly they played Peach, his song at the time, and all these girls, of course, were suddenly rushing onto the dance floor, cavorting with each other and everything. He just sort of stood there looking really stony. I felt like going up to him and saying, "Come on, Prince, mate. Come on, let's have a dance. Enjoy yourself, man." But I didn't. But I remember seeing his guitar, Angel, before he had. So, Fuzzbox were in the office. It was WEA Records, which was like part of Warner's and so on at the time. And the chairman, Rob Dickens, had his guitar, and he was so dying to show it us. We were allowed to touch it, and so the white one it was Angel. That really gorgeous guitar that he had designed. He had many of them apparently, and a lot of them were resprayed. But so that was quite nice. I thought that was probably about as close as we were going. But we did get freebie tickets to go and see his Love Sexy tour as well.
Amazing.
And it was so strange when he...
What was he like live?
Oh, well, he walked out on stage, and I don't know if I've... excuse me, I don't know if I've misinterpreted it, but it felt like everyone sort of did like a... Because he looked so tiny. He looked like... really petite, like Kylie Minogue sort of thing. He's really little.
I think he's shorter than her. I think he's 4'11". Which Kylie's 5'1", which is small, isn't it?
Yes.
But even smaller than Kylie.
Yeah. Really tiny and petite, and it's sort of like, oh, okay, this is this big sex god, is it? But as soon as he started performing, you were just like, oh wow, he could dance. I know, of course, he wrecked his body, didn't he, dancing and doing all the splits like he did, but he could play the guitar like an absolute mofo. Singing, just the whole show. The Love Sexy show was really sexy. It was really gorgeous. Yeah. And
Alphabet Street, why this?
I just think it's so cute, and again, it's got like a really catchy title. Fantastic groove. I love that his use of all the different voices, the different octaves that he plays around with his different voices. I like doing that. I like sort of like, what else can I do with my voice? What's kind of fun to do with it? So it's great.
And I love that. I mean, we've got to mention Kat with the rap in this. The breakdown is superb, isn't it?
I actually had the same pair of boots as her. I love that. Was great as well to see a girl rapping.
Yeah,
you didn't
probably
see
for
females.
the first time. One of the first,
totally. Yes, thank you for reminding me about that. Yes.
Lovely. Okay, it is time to discuss all things Fuzzbox. I've got loads of Anunnaki questions, so we're going to start with, how did you get the title? Because before Fuzzbox, it was called...
We've got a Fuzzbox and we're going to use it.
So where did that come from?
But you know what? We still are that.
Yeah. But so when did they abbreviate it then?
Well... It had to be abbreviated apparently in America because they thought it was rude. Of course, we were lovely, innocent schoolgirls, so we didn't realise it was a rude... Stop. We didn't realise it was a rude word at all. We've got a Fuzzbox and we're going, no, not at all. What it is a distortion pedal for a guitar or bass. It goes, yeah. So that's what we're doing. So we always kind of kept that going and loved it, but obviously... It is long. It was like the longest band name. I don't know if it still is. It was in the Guinness World Book of Records for being quite long.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like my name's Victoria and I get called Vix. It's like a nickname to me. Fuzzbox is. I
heard that you girls were on Top of the Pops an amazing number of times, and in fact, 8 times in 1 year. Apparently, like connected around Pink Sunshine. So every time I tuned into Top of the Pops, you girls were on. Tell me about your favourite Top of the Pops story, because we have so many people telling me about who they met and what the atmosphere was like and how small the studios were. Tell me everything.
Well, it's funny really, because it wasn't how we thought it'd be. We thought it'd be really wild and rock and roll and woohoo. It was actually very, very well, sort of organised, and it was a bit like being at school. They were very, very strict. So you had to go into your rooms and you weren't allowed to come out of your rooms until you were collected, unless that was just us.
Well, you could... how was your behaviour?
We were very good, actually. Just a little playful. So what we used to do is to sneak out and put notes under people's doors. I remember we, Simply Reds, we did one. So childish, but we were only young. Like, you smell, and on the other side, nice. That's mine. Sorry. But we did actually sneak into New Order's dressing room, and we had a good old chat with them. They were number one at the time.
Yeah.
But he was like saying, "Oh, you're so lucky that you can mime." And I was going, "No, I really hate miming. I really would love, to sing live." He said, "No. I can't mime for toffee. That's the only reason they let me sing live." I think also if you had a number one, you were allowed to choose.
Right.
But
for the rest of you had to mime.
Oh, you had to.
So that was the rule.
Yeah. Actually, when I say I hated miming, I didn't mind really, because it's just the way it was. It's pointless, thinking anything else. But they were very strict about, right, you're going to sing that line and you're going to sing that. But and someone said, "But I don't sing that." "Yes, but you're going to." And it was all sort of, if you don't do as you're told, you're off.
Wow.
It was very strict.
That's weird.
But we met lots of lovely people. We met Roachford were great. The Cult. Simply Red. Who else did we meet? All of the Stock Aitken and Waterman lot, of course.
So you were on the front cover of 2 Smash Hits magazines, and people can order these. You can go onto Amazon and you can get them framed. And the one from August 1989 is the most ordered one. Is you girls on the front cover from that summer. I suppose Pink Sunshine was out at that time as well. But you guys looking, fantastic on the front cover. What do you remember about your Smash Hits appearances?
I loved doing those photo shoots. I have to say the other 3 girls weren't always as keen at sort of posing for hours and hours on end, but I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I liked it. I loved it, making the videos and stuff. And I think they used to find it a bit tiresome at times as time went on, at least. But it was normally Simon Fowler and doing the Smash Hits shoots. And we were actually on the front cover of Smash Hits and the NME at the same time. Once.
Wow.
The NME one, we were dressed up as nuns. I'm not really sure why, singing on The Hills Are Alive, Sound of Music kind of thing.
Yeah.
And what was the one? I think it was the gold leather stuff, where we were trying to look really tough,
like rock chicks.
Yeah, I think it was that. But yeah, it was enjoyable. You knew that it was quality stuff, and they knew what they were doing. And
so we're going into Pink Sunshine now. I think this is one of the best pop songs I've ever heard. This song is incredible, and I think it still sounds amazing now. Were you surprised at just how big it was?
Yes.
Because it was your absolute big hit, wasn't it? Yes,
I mean, although International Rescue was higher up the charts, but Pink Sunshine really outsold it. Do you know who we were knocked off? It was blooming Stephen Dennis. "Don't make it feel good."
Paul from Neighbours.
Yes. Because apparently, I don't know whether you'll be able to leave us in or not, but we were demoted at least twice with Pink Sunshine, because sometimes when record company people try to do deals and if you sell some more copies, you get this freebie and so on, and a lot of that was apparently going on, which, to be honest, I really didn't think we needed to happen, because International Rescue was already, that had been number 11. We were everywhere, we were in all of the publications and TV and everything. We were all over the place, but we got demoted 15 places and then another 15, so that's 30.
Yeah.
And we still got to number 14.
But
so it's a bit annoying.
It was one of the most played songs.
Yeah.
It was kind of you guys and Black Box right on time the whole summer.
It's still a great song. I think it's quite unusual as well, structure-wise. It's really, it's really quite a strange
When you were
song.
making it, did you have special feelings about it? Did you go, this one's going to be a big one?
Yeah, I think we did. And we were actually writing with Liam Sternberg, who wrote Walk Like an Egyptian. So he had quite a good ear for these things as well. But yeah, I think we knew it was a bit spesh. And it's just so hooky, isn't it? That brass part was originally just a brass part, and then it became the pink, pink sunshine, and then that's the hook, really, isn't it? So I think it's a lovely song.
Do you ever watch yourself back on Top of the Pops? It's really well viewed at the YouTube performance of Pink Sunshine.
No,
you should have a look.
I've caught a few bits,
Yeah.
or people will post something up maybe on Facebook or something, or someone will message me and say, "Oh, you're on Top of the Pops," which is sweet. That's nice.
Can I just ask you one more question? Tell me a story about. So you're in the depths of success, the peak of success in 1989. What do you remember most about that kind of summer, that year when you were so popular? Have you got a favourite story from around that time?
Oh, I think it might have to be. Do you remember there were loads of really cool, like fun Saturday morning breakfast shows?
Yes.
And
there's like Going Live and Motormouth and
absolutely. There were loads. I mean, and they were watched by kids and adults because there were lots of sort of. There was often subtle humour in there, wasn't there? Like
Trevor and Simon.
Oh, they were ace, yeah. And Ghost Train we were on really regularly. And I think this was one of the ones where Deacon Blue had refused to do it because they realised they were going to have to mime, or they were going to have to be in situ where there weren't going to be leads coming from their instruments, and it was going to look really fake that they weren't singing live. Obviously these days you can get radio mics, that was the olden days. So they were like, Fuzzbox, will you do it? Yeah, of course. So we jumped in and we was doing Pink Sunshine, and this is live on TV. This is on YouTube, and it's a brilliant watch. It still makes me laugh my head off. So we're playing it, and and suddenly it gets about somewhere in, is it the first verse-ish or something, and then it suddenly goes and starts rewinding. The tape's rewinding, and we're all looking at each other.
How did you cope?
Well, I think any other band would have been absolutely horrified, mortified, but we thought it was brilliant. Thought it was absolutely hilarious because I mean it's pretty obvious anyway. So we're looking at each other really laughing. I mean, I'm like throwing my head up and down laughing, and then it starts again. We just go and carry on. So that was pretty ace.
Did you ever see the performance on Top of the Pops of All About Eve doing Martha's Harbour when they couldn't hear themselves? So but it's a live episode of Top of the Pops. So the track starts and they're just sat there and she's singing and they just can't hear. It's not playing in their monitors. So so for half of the song live on Top of the Pops, they're just and then it suddenly works and she's like, she starts picking up the song, but kind of 2 minutes into the song, it's probably one of the greatest kind of mishaps.
I think it rings about. I need to go and see that now. Yeah, there's some good ones.
Let me just end. Finally, thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, thank you for
just
having
before
me,
we
Steve.
play Pink Sunshine, what's current for you? Because the hair's pink still. What's going on? You're still singing, aren't you? Still releasing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Fuzzbox was doing quite a bit. Just mainly, it's me and Maggie sort of generally. Apart from sometimes we have a full electric band, which is like all girls, which is awesome. But we were doing like the Let's Rock scene, all of those retro festivals, which are fantastic. But we're kind of on a bit of a hiatus from the gigs at the moment. Maggie's got a band called Black Clown, but we are writing a book together.
Ooh.
Which, it's great. The
What's
visuals
that
are
about?
fantastic. It's about our story, really.
Oh, nice.
Because
Okay.
supposedly we're still the UK's most successful all-girl band. What play instruments?
That's really good. I didn't know that.
I know.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you, exactly.
Because the other thing is, there weren't many, I mean, there were hardly any girls around of your ilk.
We
the
thought
late
there were
part
going to
of
be
the
loads.
80s. There were none, were there?
We thought we were part of a crest of a wave, and we're all going to go out and do this now. We really thought, gosh, it's taken its time. So whilst like that accolade, if that is true, of us being like the most successful, all-girl band in the UK that play instruments, is fantastic, but it's a bit annoying. It's like, where are you all?
Yeah.
Get your butts out there and, and play. So there's that. And I do a lot of mentoring musicians. So that's one of the things I do. But sorry, keep you to the mic. But I've got a new project which is really exciting. I've really got, because I do a lot of mindfulness and I'm a Reiki master and all of that sort of stuff. I've been for decades, and I use a lot of like different sound frequencies and mantras. So I've got a really, really nice new project. So hopefully getting out. No, I shall be getting out this summer and doing some festivals. It's very interactive.
Amazing.
Oh, it's lovely. Just really good vibes. So I think people need that now.
Especially in this climate, with everything we've been through in the last couple of years. It's been quite insane, hasn't it?
Yes, it really
Well,
has.
thank you for travelling from the West Midlands to see me. It's so great to catch up with you again.
Yeah, it's really lovely
to see
to
you
see.
looking so well, and thank you for your time and all the stories and stuff. I've really loved having you. Vix from Fuzzbox.
Thank you,
Love
Steve.
you a lot. See you in Birmingham soon.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Bye.